الرحيم إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلوات الله وسلامه وبركاته عليه أما بعد فإن خير الكلام كلام الله وأحسن الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. As we continue in this great treatise by the great Imam Ahmad ibn Ali ibn Hajar al-Asqalani rahimahullah المتوفى سنة 356 بعد هجرة الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم, who died 856 after the migration of our Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. In this compilation of these narrations in regards to fiqh, regards to the affairs of jurisprudence and all the different affairs that's connected with it, in the chapter as we continue in Kitab al-Nikah. The chapter is the book of marriage, and the subtitle, everyone, is what they call Bab al-Kafa'a wal-Khiyar, the chapter of adequacy and choice. So we were discussing the matters pertaining to what, everyone? The narration, which we finalized from the last class, which was a very interesting, beneficial narration that we covered. As we finalize the narration pertaining to Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, قال رد النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ابنته زينب على عبد العاص ابن الربيع بعد 6 سنين بالنكاح الأول ولم يحدث نكاحا, as it says in the narration. رواه أحمد والأربعة إلا النسائي وصححه أحمد والحاكم. As we talked about the takhrij of al-Hakim, and this is mustadrak, and that's something we'll discuss later. So we finalize the narration of Abdullah ibn Abbas and the narration of Amr ibn Shu'ayb عن أبيه عن جده. We covered that one also. You'll find that the next narration that we'll cover, everyone, is connected with this one, and that you'll find that it's all connected. And from the wisdom of the great Imam Ahmad ibn Ali ibn Hajar al-Asqalani rahimahullah, that you'll find that he put these narrations, classified them under the subtitle Bab al-Kafa'a wal-Khiyar, as we said, the chapter of adequacy and choice. We said that the last narration, everyone, that what happened with the daughter of the Messenger of Allah alayhi salatu wasalam, that he returned her back to who? Abu al-As ibn al-Rabi' after 6 years, as one of the narrations says. And he did not renew the marriage contract. He did not renew it. And that is because, like we said, he became Muslim. And we generally mentioned from the previous classes that the uqud al-nikah al-kafira mu'tabara fi al-Islam, that the uqud of the marital contracts before Islam are considered. They're considered where a person, if they were married to someone before Islam, and we mentioned this many times. But however, I repeat it so it can stick in the minds of everyone. So all this is strategically done in order for everyone to memorize this matter, because you'll find that some people, out of ignorance, they will think that the marital contracts before Islam are not recognized, nor are they considered. And that's incorrect, as you'll find that the narrations in regards to the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam before the marriage and before before Zaynab before Zaynab had embraced Islam along with her father, that she was married previously. She was married previously. Then Zaynab had embraced Islam with her father, of course, but Abu al-As, as we mentioned, stayed in Mecca along with the polytheists, meaning he remained upon his religion. Then, as we know later on, some time passed, he became Muslim, and you'll find that the Messenger of Allah did not renew the marriage contract where he what? Performed another one. You'll find that it's also from the evidences that clearly establish what everyone, that the uqud al-nikah qabl al-Islam mu'tabara wa mu'taraf biha. That the contracts before Islam are what everyone, they're acceptable, they're valid, and they're considered. And if one embraces Islam, of course, along with his wife, or vice versa, along with her husband, before they were Muslim, they both embraced Islam and they were married, let's just say, in Christianity or Judaism or what have you. And they both accept the religion, then they do not have to what? Renew their marital contract. The only affair that has to be fixed is those practices that they're indulging in that opposes Islam. That has to be rectified. Now, if it's something that is mughallaf, that is severe, for example, the man is married, let's just say, from nikah al-maharim, based upon the practices of some of the kuffar, that affair immediately, the couples will have to be what? Separated. Whether it be from the practices of the non-Muslims, where they marry in the families or what have you, pertaining to the father or the daughter or all of those matters. Immediately they will have to be what? Separated. And those type of marriages, like we said, are not even what? Recognized. So those type of matters we mentioned, we said in the examples of the narrations that we cover, all affirm this matter. All of them, what everyone? It affirms this particular affair. So we also going to move to the next narration of today. So the new one today, everyone, you'll find how it's all correlated. All of them are connected. From the narration we covered from the last class, and the narration that we're explaining now, it's the same. You'll find that there's a alaqa baynahuma. There's a connection between both the narrations. So let's start, everyone. When the authority of the great Sahabi al-Jalil, ترجمان القرآن عبد الله بن عباس, قال أسلمت امرأة فتزوجت فجاء زوجها فقال يا رسول الله إني كنت أسلمت وعلمت بإسلامي فانتزعها رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من زوجها الآخر وردها إلى زوجها الأول. رواه أحمد وأبو داود وابن ماجه وصححه ابن حبان والحاكم. You'll find that there was a woman that became Muslim. There's a woman that, whatever you want, became Muslim. So, keep this in mind, that they were married previously. So this is a narration that also clearly establishes, whatever you want. What does it show? They had a form of what? Marriage. Before what? Before Islam. So you'll find that in the narration. Guys having fun? So it says that before Islam, everyone, they have some type of what? Marital contract. Then it says in the narration what? She became Muslim. Then you'll find in this narration that will explain that she married again. She married again, someone else. After she became Muslim, even though her what? You would think that the husband did not become, or her previous husband did not become Muslim yet. But you'll find that he clarified. He came and established some form of clarification, saying that she knew about his Islam. So it says in the narration, فَجَاءَ زوجها من قبل فقال يا رسول الله إني كنت أسلمت وعلمت بإسلامي. I embraced Islam and she knew about my Islam. The Messenger of Allah removed her. So keep in mind the narration of the Messenger of Allah alayhi salatu wasalam. Alhamdulillah. The Messenger of Allah removed her. So keep in mind, he was the ruler. He was the ruler of the country or the land. Is it clear, everyone? He was the ruler. Pay attention, everyone. He was the ruler, and he was the what? He was the one that was disposing of the affairs of the land. He was the Muslim ruler. And all of the delegates of the ruler, of course, from the Qudah, or the judges, also have this authority. From who? The ruler of the land delegates. We delegate from the Mahakim Shari'ah, from the Islamic courts. From them is the judges who he appoints, can also do this. You'll find that the Messenger of Allah removed her from what? The husband that she was with at that particular time, meaning the second one, that she married again. And the Messenger of Allah, sallallahu as it says, returned her back to the what? The original husband. So that's what's understood from the narration, right, everyone? Fine. So you find that this hadith, this narration that we're covering, it's in somewhat of what is connected with the previous one, to a certain extent. You'll find in the hadith, it says, fi nafs al-qadiyah, and I'll read the affair before we mention the detail, because I mentioned last class that the narration before, we wanted to mention the detailed version before we mention, or we wanted to mention the summarized version before we mention the detailed one, mention the detailed narration. However, this narration is pertaining to what? The same case, that a woman became Muslim and the Islam of her former husband came what? Came after, meaning it came later on. So that's what is apparent from the hadith, that he became Muslim and she was returned back to him, generally. Now you'll find that it says whether it was in the iddah or after iddah, whether it was while she was in the iddah or after the iddah. Why are we stipulating those two affairs? The waiting period. We said previously from the last class, what did we mention? What did we say? We said the affair of if it was during the iddah, then it's not the problem. It's clear. If the husband now embraced Islam while she was in her iddah. So let's go back. Let me just return back to the beginning of the affair. You'll find in the beginning, if a woman now becomes Muslim, a Muslim woman cannot what? Be with a non-Muslim man. So immediately the marriage contract has to be what? And now the affair, what they call fasakh or infisakh or inhilal al-aqd al-zawji, where the annulment of the marriage contract starts based upon the fact that the Muslim woman cannot be married to what, everyone? A non-Muslim man. Right. So immediately the marriage contract, the annulment starts, then the iddah starts. So now the iddah, as we know, is how many? 3 months or 3 menstrual cycles? 3 menstrual cycles, not 3 months. 3 menstrual cycles. Is it clear, everyone? That's the asl. The origin is 3 menstrual cycles, not months. 3 menstrual cycles. That's the origin, even if her menstrual cycles are irregular. It doesn't matter. Even if they're irregular. Even if she has a mense once every 4 months, so 5 months, doesn't matter. The affair revolves around what, everyone? Revolves around the mense, or the menstrual cycle. So one person say, well, I only get a mense once a year, twice a year, you have to wait. A person would say, well, what do? Can I take some herbs to regulate it? Absolutely, you can do that. But the affair revolves around the what? The mense. The affair pertaining to months, if there's no mense at all, itlaqan. If there's no mense at all, based upon the predicament of whether she's young, she didn't attain, of course, the age where she starts her menstrual cycle, or she reached what they call sin al-yats, balagat sin al-yats, where she reaches the age of what they call sin al-yats, where she gets her what they call her what is those hot flashes what a woman gets? Menopause. She gets menopause, and that's what they call sin al-yats. When she gets a menopause, and then you'll find when a woman becomes elderly, in certain instances she don't get a mens at all anymore. Is it clear? Does not get a mens at all. Because some women do reach the age where they get menopause, but they still do get a mens. That does happen. But in the affair that, let's just say an example, where she does reach that age and her mens completely stops. It doesn't become irregular. completely what? Stops. Then the affair was considered as what? The months. Due to the fact that there's no what? No mens at all, mutlaqan. In absolute all cases. The third affair, like we mentioned, is qiyas. And we know qiyas is considered if it does not go against the kitab and sunnah. The affair pertaining to shaitan, he went against the command of Allah. So that's what they call qiyas ma'al fariq. We'll talk about that later. But at any rate, the qiyas, what I'm speaking about, everyone, is what they call a hysterectomy, where a woman's reproductive organs are extracted. So, out of qiyas, they will now say that also takes the same what? Ruling. Because now, in this instance, she will not get a what? She will not get a mens. And as we know, qiyas means ilhaq al-far' bil-asl. Ilhaq al-far' bil-asl. So, that's pertaining to the affair of what? Of a menstrual cycle. But the origin is what, everyone? A menstrual cycle, even if it's irregular. Right, so let's get back to the affair. So now, her husband did not become Muslim. She embraced Islam. Aslamat. So now, as we know, the annulment of the contract, what, everyone? It what? It starts. Her iddah. Now, within that iddah, she has one menstrual cycle. Then she has a second one. Within that time frame, if her husband, before she was Muslim, embraces Islam, then what? That's not the issue. هذا ليس محل إشكال. الأمر واضح. The affair pertaining to what? Any confusion is clear now. It's removed. Due to the fact that if he becomes Muslim within her cycle, then they can what? Resume their marriage. Is it clear? The problem is, like we said for the previous narration, is after the fact. After the iddah is over. Once the 3 menstrual cycles have what? Elapsed and finalized. After that, then that's the affair that was what? Confusing within the minds of certain people. We said that al-Allama Ibn al-Qayyim, rahimahullah, what did he say last class, what we mentioned? He said that the position of the second, of what he mentioned as Zad al-Ma'ad, that is the affair that we rely upon, based upon the fact that we have the narration of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and what he did. And that's our religion, that's our guidance that we hold on to. What the Messenger of Allah alayhi salatu wasalam did. Based upon that, it says after 6 years that he returned Zainab back to Abu al-As without renewing the marriage contract at all. So those are the affairs that's pertaining to that. Now, if something happened within the middle of that, let's just say, for example, a woman fell into zina within that time frame, then that affair is removed. She cannot go back to her former husband if something happened in between, whether it be something legislated or illegislated, or something legal or illegal had happened. If she remarried, of course she cannot go back to her former husband. Or if she had intercourse within that time frame with someone while she was Muslim, she cannot go back to her what? Former husband and resume her marriage contract. These are the details that I wanted to mention previously. However, this narration says she married again. Right, everyone? Right. So that is the affair of the new narration here. Listen what the great Imam that he mentioned, Sheikh Salih Fawzan, he says about this, the same thing. He says, you'll find that she was returned back to him. Doesn't make a difference whether it was during the iddah or after the what? The iddah. The hadith here is what? It's mutlaq. It's general. It's mutlaq. ما بين هل هو أسلم وهي في العدة أو أسلم بعد نهاية العدة. Did he become Muslim while she was in the iddah? Or he became Muslim what? After what? After the iddah. You'll find in the narration, what does it say? She knew about my Islam. That was the key factor here. That was the note that we want to take notice. So keep that in mind, that wording. It says, alimat bi Islami. The next time, brothers, bring your books. You have to bring your books. Ahmed al-Kutub. Books are important. That is a minhaj that will never what? That will change. If one was proper knowledge, your book stays with you. Bring your book. I don't think no one has the hifz of any of the Salaf previously where they could memorize 100,000 chains, whether it be Sahih, Hasan, Da'if, or Mawdu'. I don't think no one can do that these days. Allah knows best. But based upon that, that shows that al-hifz fi hadhihi al-ayam khawan, da'if. For that reason, bring your books along with you. Dafatir wal kurrasat. أحضروها معكم. الله يحفظنا وإياكم. Is it clear everyone? واضح؟ طيب. هذا من باب التذكير. أنا أعرف أنك يعني نزلته في الجوال. أنت ما الجوال ما يوجد عندك اليوم؟ أنت نزلت البي دي اف.
لكن كتاب يعني أكتب.
جيد. So you'll find that the message of Allah here. So the key word that we mentioned, it says that she knew about my Islam. So that's the word in there. And she married. So you'll find that she knew about his what? His Islam. So based upon that, if she knew about it, then what?
She would have to marry him.
Exactly. That she would go back to which husband? Or she would remain with her new husband or go back? Based upon what though?
Just her knowledge of his Islam.
Exactly. Based upon her knowledge of his Islam, of her former husband's Islam. So the message of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, here you'll find that he removed her. Meaning the marriage contract, when they say removed, doesn't mean he just pulled her out the house. What it means is that he nullified the contract. Is it clear, everyone?
Yeah.
Like he pulled him out the house and hey, cut us. Here, get out, go with your other husband. No. The meaning of it is he nullified the what? The marriage contract with the new husband and returned it back to her what? Her former husband. طيب. It says, فَرَدَّهَا النَّبِيُّ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ إِلَى زَوْجِهَا الْأَوَّلِ. However, what the ulama mentioned about this particular narration, he said, هَلْ هَذَا يُحْتَمَلْ أَنَّهُ أَسْلَمَ فِي أَثْنَاءِ الْعِدَّةِ وَهَذَا لَا إِشْكَالَ فِيهِ. As we already just talked about this. We said the affair pertaining to whether or not, if it was during the iddah, if this particular event happened then, it's clear. Is it clear, everyone? If she, within her waiting cycle, meaning that she was doing her mens, her 3 menstrual cycles. And as we know, a woman has to do that before she moves on to her what? For new marriage, or embarks upon a new marriage contract with a new man. Based upon the fact, as we know, the benefits of the menstrual cycle with a woman. What's the benefits of it, as we know? The benefits of it is what, everyone? It's for I'm telling you now, is to allow the woman's genetics from her previous husband be removed out of her body. Totally. Because when a man, when he's intimate with his wife, it's true. Some of the affairs of his body bonds with her. It does. Especially if, of course, he reaches ejaculation, whatever. Those affairs are imprinted within her body. They say that the reason why a lot of types of venereal diseases come, because all the different types of sperm mixes. These types of sperm, which will let you know how the disbelievers and the non-Muslims are nasty. It's not supposed to be different what? Different types of sperms mixing with other different men of genetics within the body of a woman. Is it clear? So the menstrual cycle allows the woman's body to become pure. So her body can be prepared to embark upon a new marriage with a new man. So her body now is fully what? Cleansed of that man that she was with formerly. And she's able to now, her body is prepared physically to embark upon a new marriage with another man. In case with the iddah, so now, like we said, it purifies the body. To let you know the hikmah of why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had legislated these affairs and the wisdom behind it. And the more you look at it, to let you know how astonished, how this affair is what? Is an affair that's ilahi. It's something that was revealed from the creator of the heavens and the earth, so there can be a form of decorum and system within society. Without being like this society that we're in now, where people embark upon all types of filth. And all types of what? Chaos or chaotic affairs. So, the hadith here, everyone, that's from some of the wisdoms of an iddah. That's just some. There's more than that. But that's like we said, the affair of a woman, her body. As far as a man, everyone knows men, how Allah created them. They can have multiple wives and have multiple what? Women. That's known. That's been known since the time of old. It's not until this weird behind Westernized civilization came with weird ideologies and threw mankind off. We're talking about the origin that's known. But a woman, the way Allah created a woman's body, it was only made to take one man's type of what? Sperm at a time. To be what? Within her physical state. And if it gets mixed, it will cause some type of harm within her physical body. Is it clear, everyone? Right. So based upon that, in regards to the iddah, her iddah, as we mentioned, everyone, let's just say this hadith here, if it happened during the iddah, then the affair is removed. Then the Messenger of Allah ﷺ justifiably took her away. They say you were still in your iddah, meaning you were still what? You were still connected with your previous husband. You can't do that. If you knew about his what? If you knew about his Islam. Is it clear? If you knew about his Islam and if it was an iddah, you have to go back to your former husband because you're still attached to him. That's your former husband. That's the marital contract. But the problem is, did this particular affair happen after the iddah? So that's how we're trying to now establish how this hadith is connected with what? Exactly, with the previous hadith. And that's how you'll find that the great Imam al-Hafidh ibn Hajar, why he arranged the hadith the way he did in the chapter. You see the great knowledge of the great Imam al-Hafidh Ahmed ibn Ali ibn Hajar al-Asqalani rahimahullah. Why he connected the narration, why he put them next to each other. So that's the affair that Ahl Ilm mentioned. They're saying that if this particular affair happened after the iddah, that's the issue. So he says here, rahimahullah, or hafidhullah wa ra'ah. He said, هذا لا إشكال فيه يكون العقد باطلا إذا تزوجت في أثناء العدة قبل أن يسلم زوجها فالعقد باطل وهذا بإجماع أهل العلم ولكن المشكلة التي تهمنا في هذه القضية لكن إذا كان هذا ما وقع إلا بعد نهاية العدة فهذا هو محل الإشكال. He said, now if this had taken place after the iddah, that's the affair that needs some type of what? Elaboration. That's what we want to mention. If that's the case where it did happen after the iddah, then it resembles the hadith of what? Abu al-Aws. So that's generalizing the hadith. But in reality, يحتمل أنه أسلم وهي في العدة. He said we could take the probability that this particular event had taken place when he became Muslim and she was still what? In iddah. He said that al-ihtimal wahid. That particular probability is there. Because the hadith doesn't specify. The hadith doesn't specify the time frame. In contrast to the previous narrations that we covered, it said it clearly that it happened when? After 6 years. After 6 years. But here in this hadith, it generalized. It didn't specify a time frame. Is it clear, everyone? What I'm saying here? He said, so يحتمل أنه أسلم وهي في العدة ويكون زواجها من الآخر الثاني باطلا ولذلك نزعها الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم من زوجها الثاني لأن زواجه باطل. He said, so that's pertaining to the what? That he became Muslim while she was in iddah, which is clear. And for that reason, the Messenger of Allah nullified the contract and returned her back to her what? Her former husband. He said, however, it still remains that it probably, there is another ihtimal, there is another probability that it did happen after the iddah. He said, for that reason, this is similar to what? The story of Zaynab that we covered last week with her husband Abu al-Aws. فيدل على أنه حتى ولو انتهت العدة فإنها ترجع إلى زوجها الأول. ولكن هذا يشكل على كلام ابن القيم لأن ابن القيم يقول لها الخيار لها تتزوج والحديث يدل على أن الرسول نزعها من الزوج الثاني فدل على أنها ما لها خيار فالحديث هذا مشكل. So he mentioned, he says that's a probability. So that's the reason why you'll find a lot of Ahl saying that this happened while she was in the what? While she was in the iddah. Is it clear? Because the hadith doesn't specify. It's general. It doesn't give a time frame. Because, like we said, If it happened during the iddah, the affair is what? It's clear as the sun in the sky. But if we did say that it did happen after the iddah, then it's similar to what happened with Zaynab. Meaning, it indicates that even if the iddah was over, that she's still to return to her what? Her first husband. And for that reason, it brings some type of ishkal. It brings some type of somewhat of something ambiguous upon the speech of Ibn al-Qayyim. Because Ibn al-Qayyim said that she has the choice for her to what? Marry again. That's the reason why you'll find that a lot of them say that what? That it did happen while she was in the what? The iddah. The previous hadith pertaining to what Ibn al-Qayyim says, it was 6 years later. So the time frame is clear. You understand, everyone? Time frame is clear. And you'll find that he says that she has the what? Choice. That's for the previous narration that we covered last class. So you guys want the detailed version? Before we get the detailed version, let's read the next narration. Before we move on, is the affair clear that we mentioned? Yes. If not, or I give some more clarity so we can remove anything unclear or obscure. Anything clear? Everything clear? Excuse me, everyone? Before I move on? Don't worry, I'll go back. I'm going to go back and give a little bit more detail in regards to some of these narrations again. Don't worry. But let's read the next narration. Let's just read the next one. Just read it. And the next, if we have some time or enough time, we'll explain it. But certain affairs I wanted to cover from the last two before we move on to the new one. Is it clear, everyone? So let's just read it quickly. So the next narration, if you look in your books, عن زيد بن كعب بن عجرة رضي الله عنه عن أبيه قال تزوج رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم العالية من بني غفار العالية من بني غفار فلما دخلت عليه ووضعت ثيابها رأى بكشحها بياضا فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم البسي ثيابك والحقي بأهلك وأمر لها بالصداق رواه الحاكم وفي إسناده جميل بن زيد وهو مجهول وهو ماذا؟ مجهول واختلف عليه في شيخه اختلافا كبيرا أو كثيرا. طيب, the next hadith is upon Zayd ibn Ka'b ibn Ujra, upon his father, that the Messenger of Allah alayhi salatu wasalam married Al-Aliyah from the tribe of Ghifar. And when she entered upon him, they said that she what? She removed her garment. And the Messenger of Allah, ra'a bi kashhiha, on the part of her body, some form of what? Whiteness. Like it was like a deformity or some type of what? Blemish. Or some type of deformity or some type of what? Some type of blemish. The Messenger of Allah ﷺ said, wear your garment and to return or catch up with your family. And he commanded that what? That she take the dowry. That she take the dowry. As it comes to Al-Hakim in his Mustadrak, in the Isnad that has a narrator, his name was Jamil ibn Zayd. And he was not known. He was majhul. The word majhul means not known. However, it was different upon his sheikh as far as in the chain. So what's being discussed here is the authenticity of it, which we'll discuss inshallah. So there was differing upon his sheikh, a lot of what? Differing in regards to him. However, you'll find that Ahl-Ilm that they utilize this narration in regards to affairs of marriage, for certain affairs as pertaining to what? Deformities or blemishes in physical aspects, or in sicknesses, or in other affairs that could impact upon the marriage. That could have some type of what? Impact upon the marriage. How Islam gives the person the choice of what certain people can tolerate, what certain people can tolerate. But the affair has to be what? Made clear and known. You cannot remove the choice from the person, and then when they marry you, they find out certain affairs that if they would have known prior, they might have taken another decision. And this hadith establishes that affair. Is it clear? whether it be mental affairs, ailments, sicknesses, physical defects, or whatever they are, that they have to be made known to the person before, from the male or the female, both. It's not just the female, everyone, the woman should. No, the female also. The male has some type of deformity on himself, or what have you, that if the woman, it could affect her decision. But however, we'll speak, inshallah, if we have more time to go deep inside of the explanation. That I told the brothers and sisters when I discussed this years ago, don't be so superficial. Like, don't go to the extremes. You understand, everyone? There's no human being out there complete. Everybody has flaws. Everybody has certain things about themselves that I'm sure that you want your spouse to be patient with you in. Whether it be affairs of behaviors or what have you, or certain physical traits or physical appearances, whatever they are. Don't go to the extremes in these matters. But the point of the matter is that I want to discuss, clarify it before you enter the marriage. Because the hadith here shows in the narration, even though, like we said, we'll cover the takhrij of it, or the authenticity. We'll speak about it, inshallah. But the affair revolves around, brothers and sisters, give the individual the choice. Don't remove it from them. Show them what's the affair. Don't hide it. And then the affair gets exposed after the fact. Is it clear, everyone? Because if you now hide the matter, and then you marry the person, and then you find out, the person will be very little upset. Like, why didn't you tell me? If you would have just been truthful, I might have just I might have been like, oh, khalas, it's not a big deal. You understand, everyone? It's not something that I can't handle. But the fact that now they hid it from you, this shows now it necessitates some type of some type of deceit. Or a hidden agenda, possibly. Or that the person, like we said, is not being truthful. So now it starts affairs of untrust in the beginning. And those affairs can trickle down, become worse from the beginning. That it shows some type of affair or mistrust, and that affair can escalate. Because now it's playing in your mind, why didn't you tell me? And if you would have told me in the beginning, I would have said, no, it's not a big deal. It's not an issue. But however, the affair revolves around, like we said, everyone, of being truthful. Also in affairs of bay'ah, same thing. You'll find that this hadith is connected also with the affairs of uqud al-bay'. It's also connected with affairs of business contracts and business ventures. And that's a matter that if we had some time, that definitely would start. In regards to affairs, what they call ahkam al-buyur or bab al-buyur. The chapter of what? Of marital contract. Business contracts. Or affairs that's connected with what they call at-tijarat. Of affairs pertaining to contracts in business or contracts in trade or any type of business venture. The affair also is similar to what we're speaking about now. Whatever type of merchandise you have, if it's a defect in it, you have to tell the customer. You have to. Any merchandise you have, it doesn't matter. If there's something defective in it or something in it, you have to let the customer know. And you'll find that the Messenger of Allah ﷺ said that if the people are truthful, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will put barakah in the what? Contract. But if someone is scheming and up to no good and trying to be mischievous and trying to get over, the barakah of the contract will be removed from Allah. Is it clear, everyone? So that's the affair of what we're discussing right now in regards to this narration. And like we said, we'll give you some more details when it comes. Don't worry. So let's go back. So if we go back to the page, anything before we move on, everyone, so we could discuss a little bit more of the detail. Anything? Before we discuss the details. Anything that is mushkil? Anything that wasn't unclear? Don't be afraid to say now before we start again. Anything, anyone? Give everyone the opportunity. Nothing?
إذا كان الصحابي مجهول
الصحابي إذا كان من سقط من الإسناد قطع بأنه الصحابي يحمل على الصحة لأن جهالة الصحابي لا يضر الإسناد. فهمت؟ مراسيل الصحابة تحمل على الصحة. مراسيل الصحابة إذا كان المسقوط أو من سقط من الإسناد صحابي وأنت تقطع بأنه صحابي أو وجود صحابي سقط من الإسناد يحمل على الصحة، لأن جميع الصحابة ماذا؟ عدول، كلهم عدول.
الحديث ضعيف؟
ليس به ضعيف. جهالة الصحابي لا يضر الإسناد، لا يضر الإسناد. لا صحيح.
حديث هذا.
أو الحديث هذا؟ لا أنت تقصد الحديث وأنت تقصد يعني الحكم العام بالنسبة لمراسيل الصحابة كلاهم. هذا قبل أن نجيب عن هذا السؤال، هذا هو الأمر الذي يريد أن نبينه عندما يأتي وقته. جيد. طيب, let's go back. عن عبد الله بن عباس. So we go back to now the previous narrations. But however, we'll just stick with the one upon Abdullah ibn Abbas and what we wanted to give the details and present them. So, all of the hadith of Zainab and this narration, as we said, are basically what? Connected. So, she became Muslim, and we know, like we said, her husband also embraced Islam, and he said clearly that she knew about what? His Islam. However, she married another man, meaning another Muslim. So a person might ask, how is it the fact that it remained upon, of course, the first contract? We already know that this matter has been what? Established, clearly. It says that she knew about his Islam. And despite of that, she embarked upon what? Marrying another man. Even though she was under the what? Under the supervision or the connection or the marital connection with another what? Man. So it says the Messenger of Allah what? Removed her. But like we said, it doesn't mean he ripped her away. It just means that he nullified the contract. And like we mentioned, these affairs revolve around the ruler and it revolves around his delegates. Those who he delegate from who, everyone? The judges and the what? Islamic courts. In the non-Muslim lands, those who would take on these affairs are the Marakis Islamiyah. The Marakis, the Islamic centers or the Masajid. And those who are in charge of them. They are the ones that will what? Are responsible for these type of matters. Even though what's the strongest matter is that all of them have to be united in order to establish these matters. Because certain men do not accept these affairs very easily. They become very upset. And they'll try to threaten certain people that's trying to run the affairs of the Masajid. So keep in mind of what the Imams have to go through in regards to certain men and nullifying contracts that have to be nullified. And yes, they happen here. In regards to certain marriages where the couples have to be separated. Especially if it reaches the point where certain things of domestic violence or whatever takes place. It has happened on multiple occasions. And the women request that, listen, I just want to separate. I don't want to expose the brother. But we have witnessed things in which it necessitated the contracts had to be what? They had to be nullified. So, based upon that, we're the ones that what? Do it. So no one should now come and say, oh, the Imam, who does he think he is? He thinks he's in a Muslim country? No. The ulama mentioned that these type of affairs are in the hands of those who are in charge of the different Marakis Islamiyah or the Masajid Islamiyah within the countries. So they're the ones that handle these matters. But however, like we said, everyone, they're very tedious. Because a lot of people these days, and men especially, are very sensitive. So we have to come in, nullify a contract, and then the man becomes upset. And like we said, I've experienced this myself, where I brought them in, both of them, and you could clearly see that something was what some of them, or some of the brothers had some mental instability. When he was taking medicine, he didn't take it, and he ended up falling into some type of domestic violence, until she said, I'm fine, I don't want to be married. But he said, no, I'm not learning after marriage, I don't care what she does, or what she says. Based upon that, the Imam comes in, and he what? He nullifies the contract. He nullifies it. The affair is the retaliation from the mentally unstable individual. And these are the things, just to put in everyone's mind, that we have to what? We have to handle. That we have to take on these matters of certain types of affairs, of threats or whatever. That's just to keep that in perspective. But the matter, every one of these responsibilities are handled where? with the Marakiz Islamiyya and the what? Masjid Islamiyya. So that's something I also wanted to what? Mention. Because a person would say, well, we're not an Islamic country, so how do we handle these affairs? It goes in the hands of those who are in charge of all these different Islamic places, from the Masajid or the Marakiz. Whether they be from the centers, whether they be from the what? The Masajid. Is it clear, everyone?
Yes.
Good. The last thing I wanted to mention, because I didn't want to go to too much detail, because alhamdulillah, a lot of them we did mention previously. What is the benefit from this hadith, before we move on, is that a woman, if she marries a man, and she's still, of course, connected, and she's still in the iddah, of course, then her marriage is not what? Valid with the new man. Is it clear? With the new man that she embarked upon marriage. If she's still in the iddah, and he what? He becomes a Muslim. And she's still what? In the iddah. Is it clear? Is it clear or is it not clear?
Yes.
Good. So, لا يصح وجه ذلك أن النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام انتزعها من الثاني. We already talked about that. Also, from the benefits of the hadith, إذا تزوج رجل امرأة بشبهة. أي شبهة عقد يظنه صحيح وهو فاسد فإنه ليس عليه حد ولا عقوبة. Is it clear, everyone? واضح? So this is another matter. If a man embarks upon a new marriage and there's some form of ambiguity there, what does that mean?
Confusion.
Confusion in regards to who though? Who here? No. The wife too is involved. Ahsant. But also who? Along with who? The new husband. So, he embarked upon a marriage and there was a what? There was some type of ambiguity. He thought the marriage contract was clearly what? Valid. Then something happened, which necessitated it was still what? It was actually in reality what?
It wasn't real.
It wasn't valid. Wasn't valid. Is there anything upon him? Is there anything upon him or not? No, there isn't. Is there anything upon her though? That's the question. Or is there any details? I gave you the keys. I gave you and now I gave everyone the keys. I gave you a hint.
Are we talking about like the dollar that she had to return?
It's not a khulr.
If she know.
What would you say now? Say you're on the right track.
If she know about the other husband. If she don't know, it's nothing wrong. If she does know, it's something wrong.
That's part of it. If she knew, that's number one. If she did not know, she's what?
She's not responsible.
She's free.
Right.
If she knew, in addition to her knowing the hukum, that's another thing. Because she might not know the hukum. She might not know the ruling in Islam.
Right.
She probably just think that, khalas, my ex-husband, I'm not Muslim anymore. I'm not under his care anymore. I'm moving on with my life. Then, a month later, he became Muslim. She already embarked upon what? New marriage, let's just say. Thinking in her mind that the contract is what, everyone? Valid. If she knows the hukum in Islam, that affair that she did was impermissible, she's accountable. If she knew the ruling.
Right.
Is it clear?
Yeah.
Because listen, what did the hadith say? She knew about my Islam. Right? However, if she knew, she's held accountable. If she knew. Because like we said, her iddah, she has to do what? 3 menstrual cycles.
4 3 months. She don't have one.
Exactly. If she has 3 menstrual cycles, and if she doesn't have one at all, then what? 3 months. Like, based upon that, if she knew the ruling that, okay, wait, to see if your ex-husband perhaps might what? Become Muslim. Wait some time. Wait those 3 menstrual cycles. Then what? Then marry. Is it clear? Right. If she did not know, then she's not what? She's not accountable. It's like, I didn't know. I just married. I wanted to do things right. I was just real zealous. I was overzealous. I was real eager to do what was right. So I just remarried. I didn't know. Khas. She didn't know. All right, even though she didn't know, does she return back to what, her former husband still?
Yes.
Yes, she does. Because she's still what?
Unmarried.
She's still what? Idda. She's still mu'tadda. Is it clear or not clear? Is it clear or not clear, everyone? Good. Mumtaz. So that's what they call a nikah bi shubha. That's what they call marriage due to a what? Some form of doubt. Based upon that, things can happen in regards to what you'll find in the ulama details mentioned in the books of fiqh. For example, a man marries a woman and she had a twin. And some type of mischievous game was played. Is he held accountable?
No. If he doesn't do it, he had a twin.
إذا كان في علمه.
Exactly. If he had knowledge and she had a to'ama, then what?
He accountable.
He's held accountable. If he knew. You say, listen, are you a sister or not? Or what have you? So those type of matters are called nikah bi shubha. Marriage, and there's some form of an ambiguity there. In here, it's the same thing. Especially in his mind, he thought that the marriage contract was valid here. And he didn't know about the affair pertaining to her previous husband. So based upon that, you'll find that there's no prescribed punishment or any type of accountability in this particular instance. Is it clear, everyone?
Yes.
Due to the fact, you'll find that Ahl Ilm that they say about this. They say, أن النبي صلوات الله عليه لم يحد الزوج الثاني. لم يحد الزوج الثاني. ولم يحد الزوج أيضا. Don't worry. ولكل عقد حصل فيه شبهة فإنه كالعقد الصحيح. ولو فرضنا أنها حملت من الزوج الثاني فهل يكون أولادها للأول أو الثاني؟ يكون للثاني لأن الوطأ هذا حصل بشبهة. Is it clear, everyone? طيب. However, it does say in the particular narration, if she knew. Also there's that Ahl Ilm say that she should wait. She should wait. Right? Wait until to see if your husband embraces Islam within that course of that time frame. However, they do say this particular narration, the Messenger of Allah did not establish the prescribed punishment upon what? The second, or the husband. This is the second husband or the new husband. But he didn't do it either to what? The woman either. Also, even though you'll find that they do say that the woman should what? Abstain. They shouldn't what? Embark upon doing anything. Why? Because the aqd of the contract here did happen due to a doubt. There was a shubha. So for verily, it's like a what? Authentic or valid marriage contract. Now, let's just say she became pregnant. Whether she became pregnant from the what? Second husband. Is the children for the what? First or who? The second. Which one?
The second.
It would be for who? I already told you the answer. Who would it be for?
I guess the second.
The second.
You talking about the second marriage?
The second marriage. Why? Because the intercourse or the intimacy had taken due to what? It happened due to a shubha. It was due to a doubt. For verily in this hadith, it does have some ishkal, something ambiguous from some aspects. That it says, أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قبل قول الزوج الأول إنه أسلم وعلمت بإسلام. And I'm going to read what Ibn Uthaymeen mentions. He said, فكيف حكم النبي بمجرد قوله والجواب عن هذا أن نقول إنها لم تنكر لما أدعي زوجها ذلك فحكم النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم بمقتضى دعوى زوجها الأول لأنها لم تنكره. So the last thing now, everyone, it says there's certain affairs that are ambiguous here. That the message of Allah before the statement of the first, or the former husband, that he became Muslim and that she knew about his Islam. So how is it that the Messenger of Allah would just give the judgment or the ruling just by the mere what? Statement he gave? The answer to this is to say that they say that she did not deny it when her husband was called. That the Messenger of Allah what? Gave the ruling in accordance to the claim of what? The first husband, because she did not what? She did not deny it. Lam tunkiru. However, they do say that Ahl Ilm, that if a woman does become Muslim, you still should what? She still should what, everyone? Wait. That's if she's married by another marriage contract before what? Before Islam. Why? Because the marital contracts before Islam are what? They are considered. They are considered. Is it clear? Or is it not clear?
Clear.
Good. Tafadhal Sabri.
If the man nullifies the marriage, is there an Ida or no?
I'm sorry, say it again.
If the man nullifies the marriage, is there an Ida?
Absolutely. The Imam nullifies the marriage contract. It's a good question. Who did you understand? That's a good question.
No, BCD.
If the marriage contract is nullified by the Imam of the Masjid, or those who are in charge, or the authorities of the Masjid, does she still have to do iddah? A waiting period, or waiting cycle? Absolutely, she does. Especially if there wasn't any what? Intimacy. However, a person would say if there's no intimacy, and let's just say they weren't intimate for 6 months, or 8 months, or a year. What's the answer, everyone?
That's three misses.
Why? Why?
Because that's
The hukum
is
Abandonment?
Not abandonment.
purified.
What's another thing? هناك أمر آخر الخلوة.
Oh yeah.
الخلوة. أن الخلوة عليها عدة. خلوة. She was alone with her.
Oh, okay.
You understand, everyone?
So it's 3 months.
Absolutely. Based upon what though? Al-Khalwa. So even, let's just say, it's 2 affairs. You have intimacy, and you have another affair called what? Khalwa. Khalwa means to be alone. A woman might come and say, listen, I haven't had any intimacy with my husband for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. So the question is, were you alone? We are alone together in a room together where your jilbab is off and he's seeing you without your jilbab or what have you. Yes. Khalas, you have to do iddah. The iddah due to the what? The khalwa. No, shubha. Khalwa. Khalwa is seclusion with a woman without her jilbab off. Her jilbab or garment on. Like he's seen her. Keep in mind, Islam is a religion that honors women.
Yes.
That's to put a perspective that how Islam is what? It's a great religion. It honors women. The fact that you were alone with a woman in a room without her jilbab on, without walking around, and she has some regular clothes on, that necessitates a what? Necessitates a iddah. That necessitates a what, everyone? The iddah. So let's just say in an instance that he was intimate with her, then that's clear. Everyone knows that. So a person would ask, okay, when was the last time? I'm notifying the marriage contract. So now the Imam is going to ask. The Imam asks, when's the last time you was intimate? Say last week. I was intimate with him last week or 2 weeks ago. Khalas, you have to do what? You have to do iddah. Now, let's just say, for instance, I haven't had intimacy with him within almost a year. Do I have to do iddah? So then you will ask the next question. Were you ever alone with him without your jilbab on? You were walking around him, your hair was out, your body was out, wearing normal clothes you were wearing around your house. Yes, that did happen. Khalas, still have to do what? Still got to do it. Is it clear? Because of the what? The khalwa, the seclusion. The iddah due to the khalwa. Is it clear, everyone?
Yeah.
So if she had a jilbab on, no Ida.
Say it again.
So she had a jilbab on, like she had everything on, like there's no way period.
There's no way once a person is married they can escape khalwa. There's no way. There's no way. That's what they call the masail of ra'aytiyin. Let's just say something did happen. No. Did it happen? No. I find it far off that a man is married to a woman, married to her, even though they weren't intimate, that he came in the house and did not see her without, or he seen her walking around or without her jilbab on. I find it bait. Give me an example where it did happen and bring it to me if it happened.
He put her dress in the beach.
Oh, now she left? Now that's another affair.
She went to her parents' house.
She went to her parents' house? Okay. So now in that instance, you guys are starting to get into some really good details. So now she left. Now we'll be asked, how long though? Now we have to ask and investigate. How long? 3 months? Well, he didn't see her at all? And she was at her parents' house? Khalas, then it's over. Then there's no what? Iddah. If there was an intimacy and that there wasn't any seclusion with her without her jilbab off, then the marriage contract is over. She can embark upon a new marriage. Is it clear? Without waiting period. Ahsant. Good question.
So he only notified the contract, but he didn't send her back to the former husband?
So he did. He did send her back.
So was there no iddah? Like, was there no waiting period then if he sent her back? Was it immediate or did she...
Are you talking about this hadith that we just covered?
Yeah.
Was there iddah with him? The hadith didn't specify. But based upon the qawa'id of what we know about a woman's iddah, that if she was just intimate with the recent husband, there would have to be iddah. There would have to be iddah before you marry her. If she was intimate with the former, her recent, any type of affair pertaining to intimacies, if he had with her, there had to be iddah. But the hadith here, what we're discussing, did not specify it. It didn't say it. Exactly. But however, due to the other affairs that we know, we'll talk about this when it comes, inshallah. It will come. Of what a woman does in the iddah, what iddah necessitates, or what are the affairs that necessitate the iddah, rather. From them is what? Intercourse. Whether it be out of zina, and the person will say, why would you say that? Due to the fact that I gave an example of this last week. I said this. And these things happen here in America all the time. A woman might have been intimate with a man last week. Then she became Muslim next week. You understand? They weren't married. This was out of what? Fornication. You understand? Based upon that, after a week, she comes to the masjid. I want to become Muslim. Okay. You want to become Muslim? All right, fine. She embraces Islam. Now let's say she says, well, I want to marry. That's when you what? Investigate. When's the last time you were intimate? Was it something that you were intimate, involved in with a boyfriend or whatever? Yes, I had a boyfriend previously. Was there some form of intimacy recently? Yes, about a week and a half, let's say 2 weeks ago. You have to do a what? Iddah. She has to do an iddah. Due to the fact that what? As we mentioned, 2 sperms of different men cannot what? They cannot mix. And we have to make sure that what? She's not pregnant. You understand? Because another man cannot be intimate with a woman from another man's sperm, in which the child's developing in her womb. That's also a form of mixing the sperms. Can't do it. It's not allowed in the religion. Is it clear? That's to let you know how beautiful our religion is and how what? Systematic it is. And it respects what? And these are affairs to let you know, put a perspective how Islam respects women. So a person will say, oh, women, have religion. Yes, it does. It respects them a whole lot. To show them that their bodies are taken what? Care of properly. To not let some other man take advantage of her where another man's sperm is being what? Developed inside of her. You understand, everyone?
No.
Is it clear? Good. Tafadal.
What about a woman marries a man that's in prison for a long period of time? And then, let's say, about like 5 to 10 years, she doesn't, she's never alone. That's the business of rights surrounded by people, individuals.
He was never alone with her.
Never alone, but they, always.
She never took her jilbab off?
No, because.
At all?
At all. Around surrounding people.
People that was around watching? Supervision?
Yeah, like
when she met him?
When they got married and during the time, the correlating of visiting, coming to see her, like she coming to see him.
Uh-huh.
But like I said, the business rights is a room, as everybody familiar, and you see.
It's supervised?
Everything's supervised. The guards, everybody.
No problem.
But she still has a garment on.
Good.
What did you say about that?
If he was supervised and she didn't take her garment off and he wasn't intimate with her at all, there's no iddah. if it was supervised, because that's not what? Khalwa. That's not seclusion.
Right.
You understand?
Yeah.
So if her overgarment is on, and the affair was supervised, it's not khalwa. And, of course, intimacy is clear.
Right.
But if that didn't happen, there's no what? There's no iddah. Is it clear? Mumtaz. Anything else, brothers? We move on to new narration. When to start the new one. نبدأ في الحديث الجديد.
سأسأل بعد الدرس.
بعد الدرس.
لازم عندما تقول هناك.
Any questions?
الآن نستقبل أسئلتكم الآن. هل هناك بقي إشكال قبل أن ننتقل إلى الحديث الآخر الجديد اليوم؟ انتهت الإشكالات أو الاستفسارات أو الأسئلة، بقي شيء نستقبلها الآن.
أنا إذا لا أفهم كيف لا يعاقب أو لا تعاقب المرأة إذا كان في علمها بأنها زوجها.
It says here in the narration clearly that the Messenger of Allah, for some reason, he did not what? He didn't establish the had. It said he didn't. What they do say is because it was a shubha. Maybe it was the affair of what she did not know the hukum or what have you. All those things are probable. But they still do say that for the people that came after, that the woman still should what? She still should wait. So she doesn't fall into something that what could be considered impermissible. But the affair that was mushkil, no doubt. It is a little confusing, no doubt. But it says here in the hadith he didn't establish it upon her. It says he didn't. I don't know if there's a narration that says he did in another one or not, but it says clearly here he did. Allahu A'lam. Anything else, anyone, before we move on? Or we'll stop here. No problem, inshallah. I don't know if there's no questions online. Instead of the mention that the Imam notifies the marriage contract, is there iddah? Yeah, he just asked me that. Alhamdulillah, a brother here already asked Abdul Shaheed. Abdul Shaheed was listening. I said yes. And it depends. If he was intimate with her, there's an iddah. And if he wasn't intimate with her, where he was alone or secluded with her without her jilbab on, then based upon that, there will also be what? There will be a waiting period. Is it clear?
No.
We already answered it. So let's move on. Let's move on.
Yes.
Based upon your question, Jamil, I'm going to also try to find and investigate more, inshallah. Yeah, I'm going to also call someone too. طيب, so let's move on. فسخ النكاح بالعيب. I'll read the top of the heading and we'll talk about the affairs in detail later. We already read the hadith, everyone, but you'll find that Ahl Ilm say that this hadith, even though it has some da'f in it, but you'll find that the affair is still what? Considered. Has some da'f in the isnad, but you'll find, and we'll talk about the takhrij probably a little bit more later, because that is separate as far as the actual chain and discussing its authenticity. But you'll find that Ahl Ilm do mention as saying that this affair is established in the religion. It's established. We'll talk about the takhrij and what Ahl Ilm say about that. If you go back to Irwa al-Ghalil, everyone, by the great Imam al-Albani, find what he says, inshallah. Because I wasn't allowed to do the research like I wanted to today. Irwa al-Ghalil, fi takhriji manar al-sabil. Irwa al-Ghalil, fi takhriji manar al-sabil. Manar al-sabil. The book that he did the takhrij for is called Manar al-Sabil. Then he came and followed up with a book of takhrij and checking the narrations in it. And he entitled it, the great Imam Muhammad Nasiruddin al-Albani, he called it Irwa al-Ghalil. Irwa al-Ghalil means quenching the thirsty one. That's what it means. Quenching the thirsty one. Quenching the thirst of the one who's thirsty. Or quenching the thirst. Or quenching, no, I think it was the first one I said it right. Quenching the thirsty one. Is it clear?
Yeah.
You gotta leave? طيب, I'll call you after the lesson, طيب. So, based upon that, go back to it, see what the great Imam that he mentions, rahimahullah. But next class, inshallah, in depth, I want to talk about the takhrij of it. I want to take the opportunity and نعرج على تفاصيل تخريج هذا الحديث في الدرس القادم إن شاء الله. But however, المعنى ثابت شرعا. والذي بوب عليه العلماء عنونا به هو فسخ النكاح بالعيب. It's called nullifying the marriage contract due to a blemish or flaw or defect. Is it clear? A blemish, a flaw, or what? Defect. Is it clear?
Physical, mental,
Oh, that's what.
all inclusive.
لا تستعجل يا شيخ. Don't be in a haste. Be hasty. Yes, it could be either a mental deficiency, or it could be a physical deficiency, or what have you, or a deformity. Whether it be, like we said, in physical, or something mental, or any of these affairs, or psychological, or something mental, if you want to say mental. That all those affairs are considered in a religion. Because everyone knows what they can tolerate and what they cannot what? Tolerate. Or what's what they call a deal breaker. You understand? I think religiously we already know. Religiously, the affairs pertaining, we already discussed this. Of what there's supposed to be adequacy in a religion, as far as a religion, I think that's established. No, inshallah, I hope that no one would marry a woman that's not praying, or that a woman wouldn't marry a man that's not praying. And all those type of affairs. Because as adequacy in what? In religion. So that affair is what? That's established. We already discussed that maybe months ago. What they call al-kafa'a ad-diniyya. Adequacy in religion. Is it clear? We talked about this months ago, about maybe 5-6 months ago.
What about the one that finds out after marriage?
That's
and
right.
the partner stops.
Who's going to discuss that shit?
Okay.
Those affairs, that's the whole reason why the hadith was mentioned. So based upon that, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they say that he married Al-Aliyah from the tribe of Ghifar. And like we said, when she removed her garment and she put a different part of her body, and we'll discuss where it was at exactly, there was some type of what they call baras, what they call whiteness, but we know in English it's called some form of leprosy, when there's a blemish as far as in the light part of the skin, but it's like white. And the rest of the body is like a different color, or original color.
Like
something like a birthmark.
I think people that on their bodies, they have there's no pigment on the skin. That's called what, everyone? That's called, as far as I know, leprosy. That type of sickness, where the person doesn't have pigment on parts of their body or on their face or what have you. That's similar to what it says, what occurred in this hadith. طيب, so they call al-bahq or al-bars. And both of them are ailments of what? Of the skin. هم داءان جديان. However, al-baras ashad بياضا من البهق. Well, both of them, like we said, you'll find that certain people can tolerate it, and certain people can what? Cannot tolerate it. Is it clear, everyone? Certain people can tolerate it, certain people can't. وإذا طبقنا هذا الحديث على ما عرفناه من مصطلح الحديث تبين أنه ضعيف. We'll talk about it later. ما سببه جهلة الراوي. But I'll talk about that later on, inshallah. I want to talk about the تخريج right now. طيب. يقول تزوج العالية لما دخلت عليه ووضعت ثيابها. وضع الثياب أمام الزوج ليس به بأس. So she removed her garment in front of her what? Husband. So we know that that's what? It's lawful. It's permissible. لا بأس به. طيب. The wife and the husband, it's permissible for both of them to what? Look at one another and to see their bodies. That's because marriage makes that affair what? Lawful. That's part of what makes the matter lawful. Before that, what necessitated is what, everyone? You cannot see those parts of a woman's body. So, the message of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they say, in the Rasul, and there's another narration, that it says that he made ghusl with our mother Aisha radiallahu anha. In one container, he says in which their hands were what? That their hands were intertwined. And that Aisha was not wearing any clothes in front of the Messenger of Allah. Not any clothes. You understand, everyone? To let you know that that the husband can see his wife what? Without any clothes at all. In the privacy, of course. No. Talk about before marriage. This is all after what? Marriage contract. That's the Messenger of Allah and his wife, Aisha, our mother Aisha. I'm scared that I gave that understanding. So that shows that a woman can what? That she can remove all of her clothes in front of her husband in their own privacy. Is it clear, everyone? So Islam also allows you to still be what, everyone? To be a human being and enjoy yourself in regards to what is in the boundaries of Islam or in the boundaries of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Is it clear, everyone? And similar to that, a man can show himself in front of his wife. So it says, رَأَى بِكَشْحِهَا بَيَاضًا هذا أيضا لا ينافي الأصول. Also, she exposed a certain part of her body where she was wearing a garment. So based upon when she removed it, he said, إِلْحَقِي بِأَهْلِكَ. So the wording that was used, everyone, it says, join your family. Or catch up with your family. So the Messenger of Allah did not use the word what? I divorce you. He didn't say that. So those are the things that we'll discuss next class of what they call a frank divorce or what they call kinayatun anit talaq, or divorce of the wordings that would necessitate it if that's the intention of the man. And that has to be investigated. You understand, everyone? So you have a frank divorce where the man says clearly what? Exactly. He divorces you. That's frank. Then you have wordings that necessitate what? A divorce. Such as, for example, who could give me an example? Go back to your... No, it says in the hadith. Prophet ﷺ said, return to your family. Or, for example, I'm done with this. This is over. A person has to be asked, the man, what did you intend by that? Did you want to what? Nullify the marriage in that instant? You intended divorce? He says yes. Khalas. It's a divorce.
So you say go back to your family. They asked the question like, does this mean you want a divorce? Then that would be considered a divorce.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Exactly. The kinayat an talaq, words that necessitate divorce, there has to be what? Investigated. Meaning, like I said, I'm done with this. This marriage is, if they say, this marriage is over with. What did you mean by that? I mean, the marriage is over. Khalas, that's a divorce. You understand? Also, another thing I want to mention before we stop, inshallah. ثلاثة جد وهزلهن جد. You are funny. ثلاثة جد وهزلهن جد. الطلاق والزواج والعتاق. There's a narration of the Prophet ﷺ. He said 3 is serious and joking around is also what? Serious. He said divorce, and if you divorce your wife and you're just joking around, it counts. Is it clear? It counts. It says clear in the hadith what? 3 affairs. 3 of them are serious, and joking is also what? You understand? وَهَزْلُهُنْ جِدٌّ. Joking around with it is also what? Serious. Saying you divorce your wife is not an affair what you should be joking with. Is it clear? And the Messenger of Allah ﷺ said that if you say it, it what? If you say it out of joking and jesting, it what? It counts. Is it clear? Also, this is the one that Ennis was joking about. Maybe like, if you joke around about your daughter, and a man comes to you saying, I want to marry your daughter. Can you give it to her in marriage? And you laugh and you say, yeah, of course. Yes, I marry you off to her. If you joke, that marriage counts. That marriage, I know that happened. Hassle fil Jizan. There's a story of Imam Ahmed Najmi, rahimahullah. Matter of fact, I think it was brought to Sheikh Zayd. Sheikh Zayd ibn Hadi al-Madkhali, rahimahullah. He said they were walking in the road. There was men who was walking in the road. They were walking in the tariq. He said, and he was joking. They was laughing. He said, my daughter, I want to marry you up to her. Do you accept or not? He said, of course, I'll take it. So the brothers around that heard it said, you know that counts, right? That counted. So they took it to Sheikh Zayd ibn Hadi al-Madkhali. They took it to him and they asked him to ask about whether or not that marriage counted. They said, was there witnesses around or not? They said, yes, there was other brothers that were there. He said, they heard it? He said, yeah, that marriage counts. He said, that marriage counted. I mean, of course, in regards to what, if she comes, that goes back to the narrations we just covered in the chapter. If she now gets back to her that she wasn't pleased with him, she can say no. So now she has the khiyal, she has the choice. Exactly. So the marriage, say it again. Absolutely. So it's not finalized until she completely agrees. But generally, if she says, khalas, I like him, that marriage carried out. Is it clear? Even though you guys are laughing, but just know, if you joke like that, that counts.
I tried, With my person.
Is it clear, everyone? طيب. Another thing that's the third affair before we stop, inshallah. It says in the hadith, ثلاثة جد وهزلهم جد. The third affair is to liberate a slave. If it was during the time of war and those things happen, you jokingly say to your servant or whatever, your mola, if you say to him, you're free, and you were joking, carries out. Is it clear? Say again. Those three. It said those three, ثلاثة جد وهزلهم جد. And I heard this, like I said before, I heard this narration from some of the mashayikh even when I was in Medina. He said that carries out. So everyone, do not joke when you are divorcing. Don't do it. If you divorce and you say, oh, I was just joking around with my wife and I just said it, I'll say that counted. That divorce counted. Is it clear, everyone? Okay. كيف هي الزنا فهي كيف طلقها لا إذا تعدى حسب العدة هل هو الطلاق لا إذا صار التطليقة الثالثة خلاص حصلت البينونة الكبرى فانفسخ عقد النكاح بعض سبحان الله العظيم صلى الله عليه وسلم
يقول أنت طالق وما تكري يعاود يرجع يعني بدون عدة وبدون
مشكلة
هذا أمام الله يوم
يا سبحان الله
يا أخي anything else anyone تفضل let's stop here إن شاء الله
دابا ذكرت الآن ذكرت النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم رآها وهو كان معها في خلوة
exactly
هل يكون هناك العدة
in this hadith
yes
I don't know as far as I remember that it specified if there was a iddah now. But I think Sheikh Uthaymeen said it was because he was alone with her. And she took her what? Took her garment off. He said it wasn't an iddah?
No, I'm just asking.
Oh, okay. No, what comes to mind is that there was an iddah. If he was alone with her, because it says clearly she took her garment off. So what necessitate was what? It was some form of seclusion. They were alone. They were alone together. So that would necessitate a iddah. To necessitate iddah.
She got to wait 3 minutes.
That would necessitate iddah, absolutely. They call it iddah khalwa. طيب, any other questions, anyone? About the lesson? طيب, we'll stop here, inshallah. Okay. Tomorrow we'll do Furqan, okay, everyone? Furqan, don't forget your book. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وسلم. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.